Welcome back to I Did This Instead of Killing Myself, a stand-up comedy podcast in Greenville, South Carolina. My name's David Bakker. It's the week of January 2nd, 2023. Happy New Year. Hope you're doing good. I'm feeling a little sick. Feel bad for me. I don't know. Feel a little sick, but that's okay. That's okay. I only want to do this in one take because I'm tired. Rory O'Connor. He's our guest today. Love Rory. Rory was on an earlier episode 37. He's spent time in Greenville temporarily because he's going to school and he has an internship in engineering down here. That's what brought him down. He's 22 years old. Rory's a self-proclaimed nerd. Loves history. Loves music. Loves literature. Loves art. And art school girls, although those are like an evil temptation for him. Because he's a good kid. So he doesn't want to get seduced by art school girls. Studying engineering. This is kind of a send-off episode because he spent 2 years here in Greenville doing comedy, or two like stints, and this one, after he left, he's going to be staying up in New Jersey for the indefinite future. So if you want to listen to this one, Rory gets a chance to like say bye to everybody. It's pretty special. And he got really good at stand-up when he was here. The thing you'll notice about Rory when he's on stage, he's got very good like polish and like presence. He kind of, I don't know, maybe a little like John Mulaney is what he reminds me of. Very articulate, very interesting jokes. Like, they're not basic. They're not like stuff that you'd hear from anybody else. They're very unique to him and very funny. And because he's such a nerd, we had a great time in this episode. We talked about moral codes. We talked about politics, institutions. Talked about a ton of stuff. Meaning of life type stuff, comedy, his future in comedy, how he sees integrating stand-up open mics with like his career. Great talk, I think, for the day after New Year's. And check Rory out. Follow him with all the links below. Check him out. He's got a bright future. Great to get to know Rory, and we'll all try and stay in touch with him. All right. Before we get to the interview, though, here's what's going on this week in local comedy, the week of January 2nd, 2023. Tonight, Monday, Coffee Underground, No Expectations Comedy. That's a 7 o'clock show. Sign up at 6:30. Travis Thubbin, Craig Holcomb. Tuesday, Sharky's Pub, new mic. This is at 8 o'clock. Comics sign up at 7. Join hosts Cassandra Jane, Callie Petsafume, and Amelia Nelson. So another mic downtown on a Tuesday. Also on Tuesday with the Art Bar in Columbia, hosted by Patrick Fowler. That's a 8:30 show. DM Patrick for a spot. Also on Tuesday, we have the Odd in Asheville, 9 o'clock show, hosted by James Harrod. On Wednesday, we have Tom Emmons present Swamp Rabbit Comedy, open mic at VFW Post 9273 in Piedmont. It's a 7 o'clock show, 6:30 comic sign up. Also on Wednesday with a disclaimer, open mic in Asheville, 8 o'clock. Carrie Goff is the point of contact there. Get there a little early to sign up. On Thursday, we have Jokes Out Loud at the Comedy Zone, hosted by Brandon Rainwater. It's an 8 o'clock show, $10 cover. Friday, All Jokes Aside at Habiba's Mediterranean Restaurant, hosted by Dante Anderson. That's a 9 o'clock show. And this weekend at the Comedy Zone, we have Burpee from Wildin' Out, I believe. Friday, he's got 2 shows at 7 and 9. It's Friday, January 6th. And then Saturday, January 7th, he has 2 shows at 6 and 9. Tickets available at greenvillecomedyzone.com. All right. That's it for local comedy. Love you, Rory. Thank you for hanging out and brightening the scene, and wish you all the best in New Jersey. Stay in touch. Enjoy the interview, everybody. Have a great week. Yeah, we're starting, dude. You're about to leave, man. We're going.
Yeah.
ready?
Sound check?
No, we're good.
Wait, like we're rolling?
Yeah. Bro.
Oh.
Yeah, welcome
dude,
back,
sweet.
Rory O'Connor.
Has it been 1 calendar year since we recorded the last one? Like to the day?
I don't know.
I think it might be.
I have no idea what episode we're on.
No, but I mean, like, just like in terms of time, like what an interesting benchmark. It's like,
Are you putting your
year.
act on now? Or
put my act on? No, I just think it's an interesting observation, you know? Like, it's like a year ago we sat down here. It's like you just turned 21.
I'm sorry.
And then 1 year later, it's like, dude, you just turned 22. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's time.
These sound levels are perfect. We didn't need to do the sound check. This is great.
Yeah. Because we
Was it a year ago?
We both have soothing voices.
Well, I'll
Yeah.
talk serious now. What is? It was exactly. Did we do it last December?
I didn't check if it was exactly a year ago, but it was like the Tuesday after my birthday.
Yeah.
And it is currently the Tuesday after my birthday.
And you were about to go back, right?
And I was about to go back.
I think it was the exact same logic last year. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, Rory, you're going to be gone for a while? Let's quick get you on.
Yeah.
And then this year,
You're like, Rory, you're going to be gone
Rory,
forever?
you're going to be gone for a little while? Let's get you. Let's do an interview.
Rory, you're going to be gone forever? Let's do another
You're going to be
interview.
gone. Except, yeah, this time, it's going to be forever.
Last time it was vague. I was like, I'm probably coming back, but just in case.
And you did. We're so happy
And I
you
did. But this time, there's not a just in case. I actually need to go back to school and get the rest of my degree.
You're definitely leaving. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know Rory, Rory's a student, strapping young gentleman.
Uh-huh.
You just had a birthday. How old are you now?
22.
22. Dude, yeah, time flies.
It does.
Because I do remember you not being able to get into the bars when you were only 20.
Yes,
last
when I
year.
started comedy, I was 20, and everyone would go to Sharky's, and I would wave everyone good night, and then
you would just
walk
stand
to my
outside
car,
and you looked really sad. I felt really bad.
and then I stood inside.
Yeah.
And fill in the blank, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So has alcohol been everything that you dreamed it would be?
I was sober before I turned 21. I've remained sober since I've turned 21.
Wait, you haven't drank anything?
I mean, I have before. I wasn't always sober.
But in the past year, you haven't just...
Not a sip.
Not a sip?
David, what's different
Live
about
a little, bro.
What's different about drinking after you turn 21 than before? It's almost better before you turn 21.
I guess.
When you're in high school and it's like, oh my God, your parents can't catch us doing this, bro.
I guess.
There's like a mystique to it then. Once you're 21, it's just, I'm in public and I'm going to try and get under the level that would be dangerous to drive home at. Like that's, some people like that mini game. I don't think I'm cut out for it.
Yeah. But still, you're 22 now. Like, it's not like you're like over 30.
I get out of the house.
You know?
I just don't see the need to drink.
Gosh, you're so mature. I kind of want you to have more fun. I kind of want you to get hammered just so you can like sow your wild oats and not go through like a horrible period in your late 20s where you're like, depressed engineer, getting hammered, going out.
It's an interesting fortune you're telling to me right now. This is probably the most bleak tarot reading I've ever received.
I might be projecting.
Yeah. You might. Well, for my understanding, you just told me your story with the word engineer substituted for salesman.
For salesman.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, but your story included not being sober in college. Not by a far cry.
Yeah, no, I just had a problem, I think. There's no excuse, but no, it's cool. It's cool you're not drinking. I'm not going to encourage. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
But no, man, that's cool. You're very mature for your age.
Yeah, you run into some weird problems when you have a moral code at my age because you're like, damn, this would be so fun right now if I didn't care about like myself and my surroundings.
Yeah. What is your moral code? If you had to sum it up for somebody, what is your moral code? Because you're not overly religious, right?
I mean, those two things aren't mutually exclusive.
So you have a moral code outside of religion?
Well, yeah, it's like a useful tool to like if you want to retroactively analyze anything you've done, you're like, how did that align with like how I think I should be? And then how can I do a little bit better going forward?
Okay.
And religion makes it very, very easy for you to do that because it gives you like a preset moral code in order to retrospect with. But then once you don't affiliate religion, you can either choose to never retrospect, which is a bit of a shaky idea,
Just
or
be
you
a
make your own.
hedonist, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like
hedonism.
just indulge in every sort of pleasure.
I love that word.
Pleasure.
It's not. I mean,
you love pleasure.
No, hedonism. Like it's a really
Hedonism.
it's interesting concept.
Yeah.
It's like some of the best literature is about just exploring how crazy hedonism is.
Yeah. Like who was the god of wine and
Dionysus.
partying? Dionysus. Yeah. Dionysian.
Yeah.
That's another something word for hedonistic stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how similar they are, but
Okay, so your moral code though. Lay it
Right.
out. Yeah.
yeah. Just oh man, I have this written on a text file on my computer, but
You do?
well, it was a really useful exercise when I decided it would be good if I lived according to my own morals instead of like biblical ones. That's
you
not a
made your
diss.
own morals to replace the Bible.
Well, I was teaching a teen leadership course, and I encouraged everyone to like define their own moral code, and I was like, well, I got to do it myself too.
Yeah.
It was basically just it was about
So you have one, just
yeah, it was about, it's centering like the virtue of like pursuit and like hunger for intelligence at no one else's expense.
Okay.
Right? Is like a way I can sum it up. Like
Okay.
I want to consume things that derive me like long-term pleasure without harming, like non-interference.
So you want to become super smart, but you don't want to use your newfound
I'd rather become super
intelligence.
wise, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super wise, but don't use it to like manipulate other people.
Well, if I can do it to do good, I would like to use it to do good. But at the very least, I'd like to at very least be happy and then see how I can do good, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like I like the philosophy of like your existence is essentially like an exercise in pushing the needle of humanity a little towards like good rather than a little bit towards evil.
Yeah.
Like think of it like a gas tank, but like it's constantly fluttering somewhere in the middle with every human being doing a good thing or a bad thing.
So
And
yeah.
she goes towards either like nuclear annihilation or like becoming prosperous.
Yeah.
And maybe just being a good person, you can just like shake it like.
So it's like all of humanity is kind of arm wrestling itself and like the good
Yeah.
or the bad.
And you can argue
And
where
which-
we are at the gas tank right now, but the objective is to be someone that is
Tilted.
pushing it, that you can at least know that you are pushing it towards good.
Okay.
You don't have to fill up the tank, and it's hardly possible to.
And what's good to you?
Oh man, the nature of good and evil is the best. It's such a fun thing to discuss. It's like determined empathy, determined goodwill.
Goodwill.
Yeah, like
You can't
like
use good in the
erecting goodwill, like just like
Yeah, I could think of like not inflicting pain on someone, not making someone suffer,
yeah,
like minimizing suffering
right,
or maximizing happiness.
yeah.
I think would be good.
Yeah, you can work on doing it personally, and then it's like a really messy conversation when you try and apply to like how you can
Yeah.
export it,
Yeah.
because then you get into like the nature of like how when is good evil or when is evil like the whole like
Yeah.
what are you willing to sacrifice in order to make like it's such an interesting topic.
Yeah. I kind of think I love philosophy too. I loved hearing you.
Yeah.
say- Yeah. I think, and I just thought about this just now, but I kind of think the good versus evil. I kind of think of it as like suffering versus not suffering. And you could apply that to your own moral code too. Like I want to minimize suffering as much as possible, not just now, but across time. So like,
I almost feel like we need a different word than suffering.
well, suffering is universal, I think, because people can be very miserable and depressed, or physical pain, or psychological pain, or regret.
Yeah, maybe
so. If you want to,
misery, yeah.
if you categorize all that stuff as suffering, then like, if you want to minimize that, how would you live today? Like, you might want to just drink yourself because that maximizes pleasure, like right now. But then you're gonna have a hangover tomorrow, so you're gonna have a lot of suffering tomorrow. And like, if you did that for 10 years, the suffering you experience at 32 or me at 44, god damn, would be way worse.
Guys, he's not 44 right now. He means 10
No.
years in the future.
34.
He means 10 years in the future.
So if you wanted to minimize suffering, same thing. Like, you could probably go to bed on time. Like, you gotta like
yeah,
it'd be more fun to stay out really late, but you're just making suffering worse when you gotta do stuff the next day. Or like, maybe you could steal, but you're taking from somebody else and you might get caught. Or you could lie.
these are all separate, like deeply difficult discussions on like, well, when is stealing noble? Well, when is personal sacrifice a net goal, like a net good? Because like, I mean, first of all, like half of these discussions, like anytime I talk about philosophy, 50% of the disagreement is like just on definitions of words, and then
Yeah.
the other 50%, I mean, at
100%.
least 50% is the definition of words.
And that's riveting for
Well, it's
Podcast.
annoying, but
Well,
yeah,
it's annoying too.
yeah, because the way what I mean by suffering is like some suffering is like, because I would describe like like doing a hard thing. Like comedy is kind of suffering.
Yeah.
Working out is absolutely suffering.
For sure.
But those are both things that are net positives for the individual.
It's a suffering now for better things later.
But we're not trying to eliminate those.
No, you don't want to eliminate.
Because if you take the suffering out of those, there's actually no fulfillment in the objective being achieved.
Well, I kind of feel like there's more suffering if you don't work out.
Right. So you put yourself through that suffering to achieve something.
Yeah.
But
so you don't get out of suffering, but you minimize it the most you can.
But like the suffering of someone who's hunger in a famine-stricken region, that's not the same.
So the good thing,
it's like
the good
we're
thing
using
to
the
do in
same
that
word.
scenario to minimize that suffering is to like feed the hungry.
Right. But then you start
don't get
looking
them
at
fat
it.
and then.
But then you look at it as an engineering problem. Like, how did they get hungry in the first place?
Right.
And how can we?
Right.
Yeah.
So then you look at the maybe the government institutions or like what kind of arrangements, economically.
Or I think as Sam Kinison said, why are they in the desert? Or
why are they?
It's an old Sam. I think that's a Sam Kinison joke.
Go? Yeah.
Yeah. He's just like, why are we trying to end world hunger? Just move out of the desert. Like, I don't know.
They're in the desert.
He's screaming because he's Sam Kinison. Comedy.
Yeah, comedy.
Yeah.
Sam Kinison. Yeah. Well, anyway, speaking of comedy minimizes suffering.
Yeah, dude.
I think. Well, if it goes
I'm in big suffering mode because tomorrow's my first time ever featuring.
Yes.
For you.
Yes. No, dude. No. Let's talk. It's great. Rory's on his first show. Feature. Not your first show, but your first time featuring.
Well, it's the first time I'm ever getting paid.
Oh yeah,
which is like a huge moment.
Are we getting paid? It's a free show, so it relies on tips.
I don't discuss business on the internet, but well, if I am and you aren't, that would be pretty funny.
I don't care.
I mean, I care because I want to put it and frame it and put it on a wall.
Yeah.
It just means like an immense amount to me.
Yeah. Dude, you're super. No, I love your stuff.
Well, it's just so like funny. When you're 22, like it's like a really young age to see like, man, I just moved to this place and like chose to pursue something with no assistance from like, no nepotism, no like government, like no handout. I got no handout, and I got to a level where someone is comfortable giving me some money to do 15 minutes, and it's like, it's just like, wow.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool that like it's affirming that like in the world you can just do that. Yeah. And obviously it's not like I'm not making ends meet or anything, but it's just like, man, that's like really encouraging.
$20 if you.
Because I mean, how disillusioned are people my age right now in this world where everything's it's my generation. Yo, guys, we're gonna have a tough couple decades. And
I actually wanted to ask you about that. You say how disillusioned are people your age? I don't know the answer to that. So like, could you describe that? Like, how do people, your age feel about everything right now?
The world
going through COVID while you're in college.
Yeah.
The cost of everything, student loans, all that stuff. Like, how do they feel about the future? And are they kind of like fed up and just like, F it, whatever?
Well, I think it would be a really easy question to answer if we all weren't living in separate realities. But unfortunately, I think I'm
asking you to paint with a broad brush, I guess.
Yeah, well, though it feels like people are starting to recede into like pocket dimensions of understanding where it's like, and I mean, reality's always been like a suggestion where reality's always been interpretive, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, because of the internet and how incredibly easy it is to be isolated, like I think.
Well, obviously everybody's reality is different. I kind of meant like the trend that you would guess is happening.
But I mean, like we're at a point where like everyone my age, like I could ask, all my friends have a different way they see the future going. Like no one's like sure. No one's sure of anything. I feel like, or anyone who is sure might not be sure about anything the next guy is sure about,
Yeah.
Like if you have a strong opinion, I don't think there's a lot of people that share it right now because there's so many different ways we see
for sure
this all going.
Yeah.
With the,
I don't trust people that are too sure about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the current like world regime, like the way things have been set up for our parents' generation is like it's facing a terminal illness right now.
Yeah.
that it may not survive.
Meaning what?
Neoliberalism as like
the historic, like the old American dream.
the United States financial system, that we've been kind of like, for better for worse, exporting around the world.
Mm-hmm.
It might have a terminal illness. I mean, we'll see.
The terminal illness would be what to you?
Well, it's
accumulating debt, the instability of the dollar via inflation.
Well, we could talk about phenomenon or what causes it, right? And it's like how many different, well, this caused this. Well, that actually has a cause. Okay, well, that thing has a cause. Well, that thing has a...
Yeah.
And then it gets nauseating and trying to look, what is the root of all of this?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's hard to find two people that can agree on what the root is.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to engineer a solution, you're trying to attack a root cause of a problem.
Yeah.
But when it's so complicated...
We could start by defining the problems. I think one of the ones that people your age think about is that housing's unaffordable.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot. Like I hear people in their early 20s saying, I could never buy a home now. It was easy for my parents' generation. You'd get $100,000 home. You'd get a reasonable mortgage. And, that's your wealth for the future. Like that's off the table for a lot of kids that are in college now.
Well, it's also like, then you say, okay, why is that a problem?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe because the world is backed by a fiat currency that has no value in any kind of definite material wealth.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
so the money supply
a floating point
expands.
number.
Yep.
Which means that over time it's going to become diluted.
Yeah, and if you already own assets and an inflation in the dollar
Right.
keeps, then you're pretty good because your value is appreciating as the value of the assets go
But that's
up.
not the case for every kind of asset. And then it starts getting very complicated with that. And
No, it's not. But
And
real
then you-
estate's a big one where it does tend to. But yeah,
because throughout all the turmoil, people have generally agreed that land is still valuable.
feels good to own.
But then you realize
home.
the scary thing is then you realize land is essentially just having a piece of paper that says that your government will protect this asset with its military force.
Yep.
And so you look around the world, because in America we don't have an appreciation for this. I think you look around the world, think of all the times people have lost their land because their government can't protect it. But that's like a completely foreign concept to an American because there's no situation in which that could happen to us.
Yeah, because we have a lot of faith in the government doing that.
We have faith in
same with the financial.
Right.
So the FDIC backing our investments. We have a lot of what our system working depends on is faith.
Yes, we have a system built on faith because it's not built on the
But it's
gold
also
standard.
based on precedent and it's people's property is protected pretty well here. Property rights are like really important to develop a stable and like the people's faith.
Systems built on faith alone and not precedent have not fared excellently in the past.
Yeah.
But also systems built on precedent have also sometimes fared not excellently in the past. It's like you can't distill it down to the simplest possible explanation. Mm-hmm. It's like
property rights is a huge one though. Like my stake in the ground is mine. I have a contract. The government's going to honor that. And people are going to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Like nobody's going to like come in here and, claim that they own something.
Well, we can generally agree that property is like a very key foundational aspect of human society. Like
it's cool
we need place to exist.
Yeah.
But then you think, well, what is property worth to an individual? Oh, it's worth this made up currency.
It's worth what the market bears.
Right.
Yeah.
But what is the market then? Because it's not a free market. It's like a market that's on strings that's being puppeteered. And it's like
it's largely free. It's been manipulated for sure, but
yeah,
I think you kind of have to make some assumptions that it is relative to like Haiti.
We're back to Haiti. Wow, it has been a
year.
Did we talk
about Haiti last
We talked
time?
about Haiti because I went so crazy during COVID that I learned Creole.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But I'm a little more in reality now.
Okay. Creole. Yeah, it's a fun language.
But we have talked about it. Yeah.
Well, just like...
Continue
your
point,
We don't have to
please.
talk too much about this. This is econ stuff. I don't want to bore people, but...
Yeah.
Haiti doesn't have a stable property rights.
Right.
And it's way more flimsy. And because of that, there's way more like crime and people laying claim to stuff that may or may not be theirs. Like it's not even established. I don't even think they have like good addresses. Like that's a thing that they're trying to like establish.
Yeah.
It's like a street address, having a street address that you can send mail to or like, pay taxes on or like whatever. So like those basic institutions, like we take them for granted here, but to me the scary part is like, I don't know, our institutions have kind of gotten shaky since Trump got elected, and then this new, like, I'm not saying pro or anti-Trump or whatever, but our institutions are still holding together. But like, if you see people's reactions to like election results, like neither side trusts election results as much as they used to. It used to be, okay, they won. I would never think the other side would be cheating. Whether or not the doubts founded on fact is almost irrelevant because the faith has dropped in the process, and that's kind of scary.
What's scary to me is that I don't know, maybe this is, I don't think I'm the only person that feels this way, but it sometimes does feel like, I don't know if while I've grown up I've ever seen a difference between the Democrat and the Republican Party. Like it looks like they are the same entity, narrowly disguised as like a little fun mini game.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just see like how little things change abroad between. Like it's like, it seems like the same people are still starting the wars. Seems like the same people are still.
Yeah, I mean, you see the same names at the top.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny. You see the Bushes, you see the Clintons. Obama was an anomaly. Trump had been in the mix for a while, and then Biden has been in DC for decades. So yeah, it's all the same kind of power players. And they're all kind of playing a similar game.
I just want to know exactly what kind of system we're in, so we can try and engineer solutions. Because if you don't know what you're operating with, how can you? You got to have all the information on the table if you're going to try and solve problems.
Yeah,
and when it looks to me like we're in an oligarchy, but we're technically in a democracy, but like.
Yeah. And how can anybody agree on the system when what you said earlier, like about kids your age, like you couldn't even make, you can't really make an assessment on like how all kids your age feel because everybody's in their own little.
Well, you said earlier you're deeply suspicious of people that are extremely forthright in like a belief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like, I see people that are exactly like that, but are like younger than me, and I'm like, wow, that is
you're that sure?
You're really sure, like
yeah. That's common in college. I feel like college kids, and I was like this too, I'm sure, but like you get ideologically like excited about something, and like you kind of have like an activist mindset, and then you get really excited, and they probably have really good intentions, but you kind of have tunnel vision a little bit.
I don't even know how to feel about the concept of intentions at this point.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm assuming good intentions. Like they don't like if you're. I mean, I don't know. I get tunnel vision on something.
Sam Bankman-Fried had good intentions, right?
Sam Bankman-Fried just got arrested last night.
Apparently, he had good intentions.
Well, he also.
It's sarcasm.
Did he though? Did he? I don't know a lot about Sam Bankman-Fried. Did he actually commit fraud? Do you think? We're talking about the guy that started FTX and supposedly lost a ton of people's money.
For me, it's not even about if he committed fraud. It's I'm way more interested in seeing how he defines himself as good versus evil, because I'm always caught up on this thing, because it's like you're supposed to look at these people. It's like, this is an example of good. This example, like you're trying to teach a child, you teach him what good and bad is, right? But then you get into the big adult world, and it's like, well, am I supposed to call this individual evil, or am I supposed to look deeper, or do I listen to what the news says?
Lying and stealing is bad. If he did that, he's evil.
Yeah. And then you weigh that against how he paints himself as like a fumbling idiot, and you're like, well, that's not true.
Yeah.
But then what about the fumbling idiots that are, or what about someone that had good intentions and then I know it's just more about like what they believe themselves to have. It's just fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Because I love listening to like hard conversations, like podcast style, with controversial people about just understanding how they perceive themselves,
how their brain works. Yeah, because they may have to rationalize their bad behavior.
Well, yeah, it's like I don't know. One of the few very key lessons I feel like I've learned so far in my limited experience in adult life is like, it's almost impossible to measure how impressive the ability for people to rationalize that they're the good guys is. Because even people who you can clearly paint as the bad guys in historical examples can believe that they're good and can steelman an argument.
The Nazis.
Yeah, that's severe, right? That's the biggest example.
But they had a whole program that they would recite to you if you
Right.
asked, if you were like, dude, what are you doing?
But I'm not talking about people that are propagandized. I mean more like
They really believe it in their own head.
I'm not even talking about, because I think it deludes how interesting the conversation is to immediately say, well, obviously, like, you know, someone like Nazis believed they were good, but like obviously they were. It's like, what about the examples of people that? What about the United States right now?
Yeah.
Like, we do a lot of good, but we do a lot of bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we believe to be the good guys. But like,
Yeah.
to some people, we're the bad guys, and to some people, they're very right about that.
Mm-hmm.
But to some people, we're the good guys, and they're also right about that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
then in
it's a lot of
history, we're going to
gray.
be painted as one of the two.
Yeah, who gives a shit about history though?
I mean,
I'm just kidding.
raise your hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
No. That's all. Yeah, I think a nation building in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, were we there to liberate Iraq? Kind of. But did we cause way more problems?
Did we kill
than-
1.1 million people?
No. We didn't kill 1.1 million. did
Okay,
we?
it was at least like 900,000 though.
1 million people?
Yeah,
I wish I
mean,
had a producer. I don't think.
all right.
A million?
I can cite sources.
A million Iraqis?
Well, in the general devastation, I mean, the region is like essentially gone in terms of like the ability for it to nourish. It's been so.
So you're saying like people died?
I'm counting famine. I'm counting
Oh.
I'm counting displacement, where like a village has disappeared and you can no longer account for any of the inhabitants.
Yeah, I thought U.S. casualties were.
No, I'm not directly
under 10,000.
Yeah, I'm not talking about airstrike. Well, very few casualties in war are the actual people killed on the battlefield.
No, I know. Well,
Yeah.
so if you just go by that, like I doubt.
And
we
also the
killed a
battlefield
million
was-
Iraqis. That would be terrible.
Yeah, it would.
That'd be.
And I'm under the impression that we did that.
So, well, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that just. Seems
I hope
like
I am.
That, I mean,
So
bad. But was it
So-
that bad?
yeah, it's like,
Somebody Google how many casualties
Well,
in the Iraq
don't
war.
use Google, use something else. But like,
Don't use Google? Oh man, and we can't agree on anything.
we can agree on a few things.
No, not you
We
and
can
me.
agree tomorrow's gonna be a great show.
Tomorrow's gonna be a great show. I don't mean you and me. I mean like the disputing of facts now is even a thing. Have you been
Well-
following what's going on with Twitter?
Loosely. I mean, I followed it through.
How Elon
non-mainstream
Musk
means.
has released the Twitter files.
Yeah, to Matt Taibbi.
Mm-hmm.
I like the spirit of that, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm about as distrustful of the mainstream. No, the corporate media.
Yeah.
Well, no, what's the right word?
Corporate media.
There's like a lot of really bad words to describe them, and I threw out a few, I mean, like the Associated Press.
the
like-
mainstream media.
Yeah. Mainstream. Yeah.
Because
established-
they're all the establishment media.
Establishment media is not a bad way to describe it. Like
Yeah.
I'm deeply distrustful of that, because it's very
I
obvious.
feel like the establishment media is almost like the establishment government. It's similar because like you have Fox News and you have CNN.
Okay.
You have Republicans and you have Democrats, but they're all kind of doing the same shit.
Right.
You know, there's like different flavors of it.
Yeah.
But they're all kind of doing the same shit.
And they're all funding each other.
And they're all funding each other.
And that is provable.
right.
Yeah.
That's provable.
Yeah.
So the Twitter thing is interesting because like, okay, Elon Musk is saying he's releasing all this stuff, and he's doing full transparency, but he's also Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is a guy
Yeah.
who has his own internal motivations and stuff. I want to think it's just for transparency and stuff, but who knows? You know, how do you even trust that?
I mean, he's a character. It's
he's
like
a character.
If you
Do
want to
think
like,
he's legit.
if you want to, I'll answer that in a sec. It's like,
Okay.
if you want to like understand loosely, like what type of reality someone lives in, just like ask them about Elon Musk. If there's someone you can like talk to, they'll have like they'll be able to respond without shouting. But like, well, the first thing is
So you want to talk to somebody? Wait, you want to talk to somebody who like doesn't
That-
have like a shouting? I
think
hate
that
the
came
guy
out-
or I love the guy.
I think that came out bad. What I mean is, you get a very wide range of opinions on that man.
He's very
more
polarizing.
than anyone has ever had to formulate opinion. Like everyone has to have an opinion on him now.
Yeah,
Right?
I think he might
But
be the
some
most
people are
polarizing
very-
figure right now.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Besides Trump,
Yeah.
since Trump's kind of faded in significance some, but Musk now is kind of like.
Well, I don't think
I
there's,
think he's more
yeah.
polarizing than Bezos. Do you?
Well, I don't think there's as much interesting to say about Trump as there's about Elon.
Yeah, not anymore.
It's at least a more interesting
not
conversation
anymore.
about like,
At the time, Trump was, yeah, but now I feel like Elon's kind of the lightning rod between left and right.
well, I think Well, I think Bezos is it's a similar story, but it's got less like interesting minutia too. It's like less flashy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, if Elon's one thing, he's flashy.
Yeah.
But okay, so I mean, how do I feel about him?
How do you feel about Elon Musk? Yeah.
You know how people say separate the art from the artist?
Yeah.
I separate the engineer from the billionaire.
Okay.
Because as an engineer, listen, some people like to say he's a fraud. I've at least listened to conversations about him talk about engineering, and I take inspiration from the ideas of deep first principles analysis of problems and problem solving, and how he feels about the concept of hiring and assembling a team of engineers. Mm-hmm. At least in my experience, he's had some good advice about engineering.
Okay.
Next topic.
As a billionaire,
It's kind of a mind fuck to have a concept of a billionaire, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to take that the human condition is not prepared for that level of wealth into account when you try and analyze the nature of someone who is so, and he's not a technical self-made man. I get that, but it's really just a spreadsheet of pros and cons. And maybe there's a few more cons than pros, but like, it's an interesting discussion. I mean, on the pros you have, I really like his message about like, hey, we should try and colonize other planets because there's like a 0.1% chance every century that Earth will be destroyed by an astrological event outside of our hands. Mm-hmm. That is a scientifically interesting conversation. That is something cool to me, and I think that's an interesting message. On the con side, billionaire who receives a lot of money from the U.S. government to do U.S. government projects.
Yeah.
And at that
you don't
point,
love that he's taking handouts.
Well, it's just when you work for the U.S., things get messy very fast. And SpaceX it's just like
it is
like
interesting
NASA.
That he's apparently giving a middle finger to like any sort of censorship or any sort of whatever. But he's also getting a lot of money from the U.S. government. I wonder how the government feels about his Twitter activities.
I think he's got a very specifically like chaotic neutral, lawful neutral moral code that says he endorses the concept of a government. Mm-hmm. So he's at least pro-government, and he thinks the U.S. is the government to work with right now. Mm-hmm. And he's willing to, for his main aerospace venture, take their money. Yeah. Which in aerospace, you do kind of have to work with the government, it seems like. Yeah. I've been thinking about going in that industry. And
you kind of have to, because there's not a lot of money coming in from consumers.
It's not lucrative.
Like
you're not
to
bringing
get on a rocket ship. I mean, who else is going to fund it aside from,
we don't.
You have to convince a bunch of people that it's a necessity to colonize another planet, to give to that,
Yeah, there's a 0% chance.
0.1% chance that we get knocked out by an asteroid.
Mars is not going to be run by it's not going to be like a casino run by Elon Musk. It's going to be the U.S. government claims it, or some government claims territory, and it's just going to be like Earth, because it's not going to be like a libertarian amusement park like some people think it will.
Yeah, like Burning Man or something.
Yeah, Burning Man. It's going to be fucking Searing Man, just like in space. Yeah. Yeah. There's some harsh realities about that, and he's cool with that. I mean,
so you respect him as an engineer for
I respect him as an engineer.
And like it's maybe a kind of noble aim to colonize another planet. But
that's the good I have to say.
Government. What about I thought it was
the censorship thing is, I guess, another pro, just because tech is. Oh, also the AI stuff is pretty good. He's pretty good on. I like a lot of his like high-minded theories. But then, like, what he actually does in the day-to-day is, like, it's messy. Being a billionaire is messy. Mm-hmm. And obviously he's not, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Altruistic?
Yeah. He has a philosophy that doesn't align with that, and I get that. I mean, it's just it's such a mixed bag, because I might want to work for Tesla, and I don't want to say bad things about him. I really like what he has to say about engineering, but I'm not I'm still working on my opinions about him.
Well,
you
it's
know?
interesting.
I'll admit, I'm still working on it.
Yeah, me too.
Because like I go to school with a lot of engineers, and in the engineering world, he's a rock star.
Really, everybody loves him.
Well, a lot of people I go to school with, like their laptops are like covered in SpaceX stickers and Elon Musk face stickers, and they
That's
have
pretty cool.
I simultaneously go to, if you go to the engineering building, it's kids who have Elon Musk poster on their wall. And if you walk across to the other side of like the walkway, it's the liberal arts building where they will hand you a paper and be like, this is how many bodies they found at the lithium mine in Bolivia. Right. So it's like, I go to the art school building to meet women, and I go to the engineering school to take classes. So it's like, I have to alternate so frequently between those two worlds. It's nauseating. And all the meantime, I'm still trying to...
It sounds like a good, well-rounded education, though.
I'm still trying to assess him as a human.
You get the liberal arts to make you not worship Elon.
You have to listen to the art school girls talk about their projects, and you have to go to engineering class.
Yeah. Well-rounded young
A
kid.
Renaissance man.
Renaissance man, yeah.
So yeah, it's...
I liked what you said, because I think that's...
He's still a human.
Yeah.
And he might be a corrupted one, and he might not, but I'm not so wise as to be able to judge that based off the information presented to me.
I kind of wanted to analyze the psychology of a billionaire, because what you said about human beings are not necessarily like evolved or designed to handle that level of wealth.
It breaks the code.
Yeah. So like, you could analyze a few billionaires, Bezos, Musk, Trump, Bill Gates, like they're
like the same thing as normal people, where it's like they might have good intentions, but because their intention is their moral code and their ideology, if they're wrong about their ideological path, if a normal person is wrong about their ideology, it's usually just a wasted vote in an election. Which I don't want to talk about elections, but if a billionaire is wrong about their ideology, you could destroy an entire region of the world.
Right.
I mean,
that's why maybe a good thing about Musk is that he at least seems to be in disagreement with other billionaires.
Yeah.
So it's like having a divided House of Congress, kind of like, if you look at the influence aspect. Disagree at least. And that was always like, I get knocked for being excited that Trump would shake things up. And I was like, well, everybody seems to be disagreeing with him in the both political parties. And I was like, you disagree with somebody? Let's if somebody wins that they disagree with.
On paper, that is encouraging, because I mean, from my perspective, where I'm like, I don't really see a difference between the two parties, because actions speak louder than words.
That was the first time I saw a real difference.
It is on paper. Because this example gets very, very messy.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to go down the MAGA
on
thing,
paper, it is at least encouraging when both sides can hate someone, because it means that it goes against. The nicest thing you could say is they at least might disrupt the worst things that our government is doing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are too charitable in assessing what happened with that, but yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah, I'm really trying so hard to avoid talking about politics.
Yeah, I know. But if Musk, is at least different in some ways. Who knows? They could just fake like disagree with him, and they could all be like.
Also, it's entirely possible, to think that we're excellently informed about what he does. Right?
We don't freaking know.
We don't know.
We don't know anything.
We don't know how the internet works. I mean, the Twitter thing, I just like watching it. I mean, look, we're ants spinning on a rock in space. Don't take things too seriously, dude.
Well, the other thing that could be motivating billionaires, let's think about it. I think maybe they'd be bored. Like if you had everything, all of your needs met, and you had more money than you could ever spend, like you'd want to do stuff that interests you. It seems like Elon's kind of doing that. Like he loves engineering and.
Well, he's expressed that his goal is he wants to avoid Earth being blown up before humanity can get off it.
And I think he just probably likes engineering. He probably has a lot of fun doing that.
I mean, the downsides that we have to suffer right now from like his existence as a billionaire, the downsides that could be presented. There's an argument to be made that they're outweighed by that goal. If you are to believe that there's a chance that the Earth blows up every century.
Yeah.
And you feel, I mean, however you feel about climate change and whatnot, he has an argument.
Yeah.
He has an argument.
Yeah.
Now, the question is that true? Like, because Sam Bankman-Fried also had an argument and also was claimed to be an altruist.
He was trying.
He was like the most charitable man in America.
Yeah.
If you like go back and read how much he's praised and all of the money he was giving away, like he was also, because it's some people just end up being hucksters. It's just
for sure.
A billionaire could do a lot of damage.
Yeah. Seems like the other thing that motivates Elon is he just like he tries to clown on people. I don't think he's always funny. He's sometimes funny.
Yeah.
It seems like he's just like, he likes having fun. He likes like kind of poking the bear and trying to troll people and
I've heard the argument that he's like not actually smart. He's faking it. I don't know.
Some people just
the stuff he says about engineering and the products that he's led teams to create are definitely functioning from an engineering perspective. So
you think that's legitimate?
I think he's actually smart. Does that mean he's ethical? Does that mean that what he does with his money is actually for the betterment of humanity? Dude, I really can't. I don't want to say something that I haven't like researched and like formulated a very well-defined opinion on.
Yeah.
And I have not spent the 100 plus hours researching everything he's ever done to formulate a very finite opinion on, well, what he did getting these batteries is bad, like I've heard, but what he did here, like, it's just,
okay.
It's going to be a mixed bag.
So you're going to weigh you're not going to go like Calvin on just whatever.
Oh, so you're going to bring him up.
No. We were just editing, before the show. Calvin's episode was great. I actually really enjoyed it.
Well, it's great. It's great that you can just literally be like, dude, you like comedy. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what is more valuable right now than being willing to have a conversation?
No,
with
it's
anyone?
awesome. It's awesome.
But like,
the part of what I love is that everybody's so
as
different.
a human trait, though,
different.
like you should like it's so respectable to be able to have a conversation with anyone.
Yeah.
Because the concept of like canceling or being like you no longer have any value, I'll never speak to you is like, man, I can see some circumstances where that's a very valid thing to say, but someone needs to have personally deeply wronged you, like physically hurt you,
to not talk to someone.
Like,
yeah,
I think it's an overused, like not wanting to ever speak to anyone for political reasons. Because
that's whack.
It's really whack to me as someone who.
What are you afraid of? Somebody disagrees. Yeah, I don't like that.
Well, it's almost like two people could be like compatible friends, and then you find out that they're both deeply ideologized, which is a word I might have just invented, and then then they can't be. Like it's like whoa.
Yeah. Same goes with like different religions. Like I can't even talk to you if you're not my same religion. That's silly to me.
Oh man, have I learned so much about religion since being in the South? Have I ever?
Have you? What are your takeaways on religion in the South? You're about to leave it, so
yeah, it's I feel bad for a lot of people on the basis that the life that you are prepared for in like small, insular, deeply Christian towns in South Carolina doesn't evenly match the life of what our world is. And I think a lot of people have some really hard mental problems trying to adjust from what it's like to be raised in like a Bible community, like a Baptist community, and then like switching over to like a very like how secular our culture is in like the working world. And man, it seems hard on some people. Like I've just observed that like some people are not prepared for like certain types of mental anguish that this world like throws at you. And like religion's answer doesn't evenly match the secular world's problems sometimes.
Yeah, or at least maybe not the cookie cutter version that is you're only exposed to in one place.
Yeah.
You're saying get out of your small town.
Yeah, and it's even like when someone gets out of their small town, there's some like hard adjustment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think,
and it doesn't also it would break the model. Like the ideal system is that everyone that leaves the small town and comes to the big town is a very virtuous person, because that's what they're trying to create. They're trying to create virtuous people.
Mm-hmm.
But when that's obviously not the case, because they're all humans. They vary. Then you're like, well, you built a system to produce that. The system isn't working. Let's analyze what that system is. It's an engineering problem.
I think I got a little confused just there.
Well, it's like you design...
What system is designed to produce good people? The small town system?
Yeah, like the Baptist religious towns.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Everything in that town is designed to create good, virtuous Christians.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people, when they leave that town and come to the modern world, they're not automatically good. Like, they're not all... Some of them are amazing people. Some of them aren't.
Sometimes it has... A lot of times I feel like it has the opposite effect where, like, you're too sheltered in your small town, and then you go out, and out of curiosity, you start, drinking, or you start, having, bunch of casual sex, or you just do all of the stuff that was forbidden in your small town, but you have no way to like properly integrate all of that into like a healthy, normal life. You just look at it as black or white. So you're like, well, now that I'm out, I might as well be reckless.
Yeah.
And then you can really go down to bed, and then you kind of have to like, I don't know. It's really like turbulent, and you got to find like a good cruising altitude.
It's like never being allowed to leave Catholic school. Like because like I went to Catholic elementary school, middle school, high school.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in that building, I mean, they try and enforce the strict values on you, but school's out, you get on the bus, you're just in society. Yeah. And society, especially in New Jersey, not a whole lot of respect for the Lord. Yeah. It's a tough world,
Yeah.
You go into New York City, it's not a very godly place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like we need to rethink the way that we're approaching religion. It almost seems like, or at least, I mean, I had some good theology teachers in high school that were like, look, there are some ways to take this and apply it to the modern world, and it works really well. And they had some very strong points. Didn't necessarily click with me, but I really respect what they were doing.
Yeah.
I had some really great theology teachers that were like, all right, the hard asses who are the nuns that are hitting you on the hands with rulers, don't tell them, but I don't see eye to eye with them. There's ways to apply the faith to the work, like 2022.
Yeah.
They made strong points. I'm not sure they've hit me, but I really appreciate that some people were capable of teaching that.
Yeah.
But it seems like in some of these like insular towns that I've talked to people from, it's like, no, they're preparing you for Candyland. And that's creepy to me.
Yeah.
You need a very whole-rounded education to function in this world, it seems like. And
yeah. Yeah. I think it's good to leave and see some stuff and experience some stuff. It's weird to me when I go back to West Michigan. I don't know. West Michigan, I love West Michigan, and but my perception of it has changed over the last 8 years since I've been away. Like I'll go back, and each time it's kind of different, and like it's like I've lived in 3 different cities since then, like Atlanta, Charlotte, and here. Okay. And like each time, like I'm experiencing a lot of new stuff. I'm meeting a lot of new people, and then I'll go back and then compare, and it's just different. Like I notice the differences in like the culture more distinctly each time, and it's not good or bad. It's just like there's definitely a way things are here. Yeah. And I notice the differences. Social norms, accents. I can detect accents much more than I could ever detect them the first couple of years I was leaving. Yeah, I didn't think a Michigan accent existed. Yeah. Now I can. It's like, oh my gosh!
Did you know there were different kinds of Southern accents?
Well, I heard
different states have different accents.
Well, I knew that, but the Michigan one, I couldn't hear it because I was like 25 years in the Midwest. Yeah. And it was just, that's what it was. And then I moved around a little bit. Southern accent's pretty distinct. You can hear that. I feel like
probably the most in America.
Yeah. In a negative way.
If I were to hazard a guess.
I don't I feel like it kind of has a negative connotation for some reason. I don't agree with it, but.
No, I mean, I don't agree with it.
Because I love some people.
I met incredibly smart Southern people.
Like Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
Amazing Southern accent. Like there's like there's like kind of wisdom to it sometimes. Yeah. I mean, you could there's some Southern folks who don't sound.
Well, it's like I work with engineers that sound like they've lived on a farm their whole life, but they're smarter than me. So it's like It's just the way the words come out. Accents are nothing more than just the way it's pronounced.
Yeah.
As long as you can understand the idea they're getting at, it's the same as any other conversation.
But I guess my point is like leaving and being away for a long time and like living in different places. You know, not that I'm that well. I've only lived in three. I've lived in the Southeast in Michigan. I haven't lived that many places, but I did feel like the differences.
Well, perspective is a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
That's another great thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
Is perspective.
Yeah.
It just helps you challenge ideas. I mean, challenging ideas is so important. Whether it's like second guessing yourself so that you can like introspect and try and force improvement, or it's just second guessing things that are told to you in order to develop like a really good filter for like what is good and evil getting thrown at you every day, and what is right and what is wrong. And you gotta perspective to kind of learn some of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you can't fault people for having zero perspective until they've been in a situation where they have the deliberate choice to start learning from it.
For sure.
And that comes back to the point.
Everybody's on their own journey, man.
Yeah. But hopefully that train has a lot of stops on it, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more stops, I think, is good. The more stops is
like,
good.
I'm really glad I had some time to observe the South.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, for sure. I like the things that are the same, too.
They can be inspiring.
Universals.
Yeah.
Like, smiling. I saw a TED Talk on smiling recently.
Yeah.
And it's kind of self-evident and obvious, but they were saying smiling is universal. Like there's not a culture, religion, race, ethnicity in the whole world or language to where like you have an interaction with them and they wouldn't understand what a smile means.
Yeah.
Human to human. And I like that a lot, that you could smile at somebody and have that connection. Dancing, I think, is one. Music is one. Laughter. Farting. Yeah. I wonder if all
it sounds like a joke, but that is kind of a serious point.
Yeah, dude. Farting. Yeah. Do everybody think
it's
farts
funny
are
to everyone?
Yeah.
It's funny universally, so I've been told. No, but it's a good point. Like the power of a smile, like gets you thinking. Just like, what are things that like literally everyone could agree on, so we can at least build the foundations. For rooting out like the forces that cause instability in the world. Because it's definitely possible. As we started this entire conversation being like, damn, dude, how can we like mitigate unnecessary suffering or suffering that's not productive?
Yeah,
would be a good way to describe it. Unproductive suffering. Well, there's a lot of arguments to be made that like you're just gonna have to start by like not hating your neighbor.
Yeah.
Turn that little gas needle, you know? Turn that.
Yeah. Don't
turn
hate.
that needle.
Don't hate.
Turn that needle.
Yeah.
Some people can turn it a lot more than others just based off of random circumstance. That's what a wise man once told me.
Yeah.
I asked him, what can one man do in their life to try and change history for the better? And it's just like, some people will find themselves in a situation where they have the opportunity. Some people might not, but it's just doing the best when because like, all right, this is a controversial figure, but like say like Edward Snowden made a decision that he believed would better humanity. That's the way I'll put it. He was that guy in that position that could make that decision. I might never be a guy in the position that can make a decision that changes the course of history.
Right.
Like kind of like he did.
Yeah.
Right? Some people may never get that chance, but to be cognizant of the fact that...
You could do it on a local level, though.
Yeah. You could be a pillar of the community. Create a community that creates people with better values, and maybe those people will go on to turn the needle a little more.
Yeah. Pay it forward.
It's an investment. It's an investment in the needle, David.
Yeah, needles.
You're investing.
Invest in the needles. Or invest in the needle movement.
Yeah, just invest in the needle movement.
Pay it forward. You ever seen that movie?
No.
Oh, never mind. I'm way
I thought you were talking about like a game show or something.
No, Pay It Forward is a movie where I don't know. It was some exponential growth model of like the guy from Sixth Sense. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which guy? Bruce
kid.
Willis? The kid.
People.
Haley Joel Osment?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
There's like a very small window of pop culture that we're both on the same board with,
I know.
and you just
Sixth
hit one
Sense
of
is
them.
a big enough movie that we
big enough
know.
movie from a close enough time to when I was born.
Yeah.
And also just loving M. Night Shyamalan movies.
Yeah,
oh, man, I
for
love
sure.
his movies.
Anyway, the idea of that movie was you do one big good deed for somebody, and then they have to do it for like two people, I think.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
It's like a multi-level marketing scheme with good
Basically,
deeds.
it's a pyramid scheme of kindness. Anyway.
Well,
That's what we're talking about, though.
if there's
On
one
the
good way to
local
utilize a
level,
pyramid scheme, that's it. Because there's a lot of bad ways.
there's a lot of bad ones. Yeah, there's a lot of bad pyramid schemes.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, that's why I like comedy, bro.
Dude, bring it
People
back
don't
to
all
comedy.
laugh at the same stuff.
Dude, let's bring it back to comedy.
Let's bring it home to
Let's
comedy.
bring it back to comedy, man.
Hey, don't face your chair too far.
Oh,
though,
sorry.
bro.
I did that last
You
time.
did that last time. You were
Sorry.
like, at one point, you were like facing the.
Let me just get that out of the way so I can rest on it. Hey, bring it back to comedy, dude.
No.
Comedy rocks.
Yeah, we talk about that Infinity documentary. Did you watch it?
No, David. You told me about it last night.
Yeah,
and,
you had.
And I drove home and I said, "Wow, I need to be at the office in 7 hours."
How far a drive did you have?
It's like 30 minutes.
You could have got through. Yeah, half of it.
We didn't. Okay, this is not important.
It's fine. Dang it! You haven't seen it. All right.
Swipe. Next topic.
I can't tell you. I can't tell you about it.
Okay. Tell me about it. I can handle these. I mean, so you introduced to me the concept that there's been a documentary that's been really changing how you think about the universe.
Netflix.
Toys wound up. Go.
Netflix. Trip to Infinity. Check it out. Nobody's really talked. My little brother talked to me about it a little bit, but he told me he tried to talk to other people and they glazed over. So I'll go real quick.
Okay. I'm gonna try to keep my eyes from defrosting.
All right. So, mathematical infinity. You're very familiar with that concept as an engineer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You've got me. Right
Yeah.
now.
Okay. So
Hold the audience.
You can in math, you can use a symbol for infinity. You can also a formula for a circle. You use pi as that formula, which is technically an infinitely repeating or infinite decimal without ever repeating.
Yeah, the concept of golden numbers fascinates me.
Is that a golden number?
There's some, I think that's the term for it. There's some numbers that you can find in nature mathematically, like E and pi are the two big ones. E is like 2.31. It's another one we use a lot.
Is E also infinite in terms of the decimals behind it?
I believe it's also infinitely repeating, but the important thing is that it's it more has to do with like arcs and it's basically a big thing like plant geometry. Like you can find it in a lot of plants.
Okay.
Like just in their cellular construction.
Okay.
It's like pi insofar that it's like, whoa, this appears everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah,
for sure. I like the pi one because it's the formula for the circumference of a circle, pi r squared, I think. But they basically, in the documentary, this is the cool one I saw. Like if you think of a wheel, a square would make a bad wheel because it only has 4 edges and it would just clunk along. And an octagon would roll a little better because it has 8 edges, so it would roll, but it'd still be clunky. So to get to a circle, you have to have infinity edges.
Yeah.
Or basically no edges. If you have infinity edges, it's a perfectly round circle.
Yeah.
And circles exist in nature, or not nature, but we have wheels or spheres or whatever. But there's no such thing. A perfect circle doesn't exist in the universe.
You couldn't render it with a computer, no.
Couldn't render it.
No.
Because
I tried to use CAD a lot.
You couldn't make enough. You couldn't make something out of atoms
No.
that actually is a perfect circle. So mathematical theory is crazy to me because it doesn't actually exist. It just helps us. We can use it to describe the world pretty darn close.
Yeah.
And make things. Engineer, bringing it back.
Yeah.
So that to me was like a weird kind of language that's outside of the universe.
Yeah.
It like exists outside of any dimension, but we can kind of use it. I kind of equated that. You don't have to call it religion, but it's outside of the material universe, and it's something real in a way. It's abstract, but
there's laws that govern this that are outside of our comprehension.
Yeah, that sounded religious to me. And then
math is kind of like that.
Math is kind of like
which
a religion.
sucks is that like I hated math in high school.
Really,
until I met a teacher in high school who introduced me to the concept of, and like not in excruciating detail, but just like showed me examples of how math is foundational to like observable things in the universe.
Yeah.
Like my high school physics teacher, kind of like my father figure for a little bit, if I'm going to be honest, was like literally would teach me about the plant stuff, teach me about geometry. And I would be like, wait, the horrible stuff I've been doing homework on, my worst performing class in high school, like governs the universe.
Yeah.
And then learning about calculus. When I really I love calculus.
Yeah, me too.
Where learning like, wait, this affects this, but is affected by this. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Human life is like that.
Yeah.
You do something that affects something else, and that is an effect of something else. And you can model that with math.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went from literally hating it and wanting to cry about it to being like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And all you need is like one person to unlock that.
Yeah.
Sound like this documentary.
This
might have done that
did
for you.
in a new way. I mean, I loved math before that, but this kind of laid it out in
Yeah.
a way through the concept of infinity that it doesn't exist in the real world. It kind of was similar to the idea of Plato and the idea of the forms.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that philosophical concept?
I'm familiar with the concept of Plato.
The form of he talked about the forms. Like there's a form.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
of
the little product. Oh, never mind.
the form of a chair.
Yeah.
Like there's an ideal chair somewhere abstract in heaven or whatever, but there's no real there's like shadows of it.
Are you familiar with the term game theory optimal?
No, but no.
Okay. That's just something I hear a lot when I like do stuff with like computer science. It's there is like some however you get to it, whatever you're doing, there is a 100% optimal way to do it. Like any task. You
Okay.
like think of why it's called game theory is like the way you could express this is like chess. There is a way that you can beat chess where you have play chess that you have the absolute maximum chance of winning in every scenario.
Yeah.
But as humans, we couldn't really comprehend this until we've brought about like machine learning and like dumb AIs like we have right now that can kind of achieve game theory optimal. Like I love doing it with poker because I love poker.
Yeah.
You can have a computer play poker game theory optimal, but a human can beat it by like playing not game theory optimal, and
Yeah. They could. Yeah.
they can be unpredictable. But
Sure.
But
Yeah.
they're still
Yeah.
game theory optimal means you account for as much as unpredictability as possible.
For sure.
So like I like looking at problems like what you're starting to describe here is like what is a game theory optimal chair? What is a chair that the statistically lowest number of possible fat people sitting on it will break?
Right. Yeah.
That also is the most comfortable.
Yeah.
What is like literally like if 1,000 years in the future an AI designed the most perfect chair,
Right.
what would that be?
Yeah. And that's a messy. I didn't mean to derail, like get too into that. I just, the idea that there's an abstract, perfection or some kind of thing
Yeah.
outside of, or that we can't comprehend, but it is useful in like, in describing the material universe. That kind of got me back into like thinking about religion.
Yeah.
In a sense, because when you think about like Christianity or like any of the major religions, well, Judeo-Christianity kind of is the big one, but
You could really throw it back to any
it
of the
says-
three Abrahamic ones, yeah.
yeah, it says God was separate from the material universe. He set it in motion at the beginning, and it also has an end. The documentary lays out, okay, it starts with the math theory, and then it says, can we find infinity in nature? And the conclusion is basically no. If you tried to, for example, cut a piece of, if you try to divide a line infinitely down, you could do that mathematically. But if you actually tried to like cut a piece of rope in half and then in half and then in half and then in half down to the atomic level, eventually you couldn't go any farther.
It's not technically rope anymore.
It's not even rope anymore, but forget about the rope.
Yeah.
You couldn't even if you got down to the two tiniest atoms and you went subatomic and divided out the part, eventually you'd have distinct units.
Okay.
Eventually you
Yeah.
couldn't keep going in the same way you could in mathematical theory.
Yeah.
So the matter itself has a limit. And one of the guys said it was like if there is a God, he designed the universe with like particles, like he just painted like
Yeah.
like spray paint, kind of like just like it's all like, but it's still finite. So, and what happens at the end of the universe? Like what happens? Like the universe is expanding, stars are expanding.
Yeah.
They're going to use up their fuel, burn out. Our solar system will die. All stars eventually will die. And then
Right. But, the death of stars does help birth the phenomenon of a nebula.
yeah,
But
I looked into this too, and
there may also
apparently
come a day where,
all the nebulas go.
because, well, in a vacuum, We were talking about it last night. You're like, dude, the universe is going to die, dude. And I was like,
Yeah,
well,
the
it might just be on a
universe is gonna
collision
die.
course with a universe that we have no way of detecting.
Yeah.
Because the largest unit that we know how to define is one universe. But what if a universe is a meter, but we're on a scale that's kilometers, you know? Because we would have,
Yeah.
to my understanding, I'm not that caught up on current astrophysics, but like to my understanding, there could be a larger unit of measurement out there. It's a fun theory to spitball.
Yeah,
I'd
no,
probably be
there are a
proven
lot
wrong,
of
though.
like other.
I haven't
theory-
taken that
like-
class yet.
Like multiverse things like that. But if you just go off of what we know about our universe and what is likely to happen, like based on it seems like it's going to end.
Okay.
Everything.
But we know it's
Which is
not
kind
going to
of a
end while we're
depressing
still
thought.
alive. So that's great.
Well, no, I know that. Obviously, we know that. But I like to go to the what would it, So that's what tripped me out about it. And
what you said
also,
about religion
like,
was cool.
religion, yeah. How
Yeah.
there's like a language outside of the universe that affects or can be utilized in the material. Because it made me think we're basically crumbling. We're gonna die. We obviously knew we were gonna die, but everything's gonna die potentially in all likelihood. So what even matters? I mean, that's a pretty depressing thought.
Oh man, it's
So then I went back. That's why I watched the Smile documentary.
that's actually
Because
a really
I
nice
thought of
juxtaposition. Yeah.
what's that? Because I thought about what isn't subject to time and material deterioration, and that stuff seemed to be stuff like moments that aren't subject to time. It's like a moment where you can't really you capture in a bottle. You try to get these moments, but those things that seem meaningful, like birth of your first child, when you get married, like girlfriend, when you're just having fun. Like those are like little moments you get.
Yeah.
And those don't really fall into the bucket of math or, material, the world's going to end in nothingness. So like to me, I was like, that's something that you can kind of take comfort in. Like,
Oh yeah.
we should try to produce as many of those moments as we can.
And I think there's a way with math that you could model that.
You could model
No, because like what you said about
Could you
religion.
model it? Yeah, let's talk about modeling.
No, I
it.
think this just got me on this train of thought, right? So religion, you said, all right, you can't have a perfect circle. You can only make 100 million small lines that all connect in a pattern that resembles a circle from the human eye, right? So you can't have like a perfect religion / moral code / community guideline led by a spiritual essence, right? Because like, say I define religion as we have community guidelines for how to live because it'll keep us alive, and it's unified by a belief theory that ensures that as many people as possible adhere to these guidelines for as long as possible. We go with that? Okay. Then, in the same way that there might not be a perfect religion and there can't be a perfect circle, you could at least find a game theory optimal way to define a moral. Like there's a game theory optimal moral code out there that maximizes happiness and your ability to affect the world around you positively.
Yeah.
But
Like now and
just
across
like
time.
how playing chess at a game theory optimal level is almost inhumanly difficult,
Yeah.
as anyone who's tried to beat a computer at chess knows,
Yeah.
that same code is that same, like, what is the way to live that is the best for me and everyone around me at the exact same time,
And in the future.
applicable to everyone.
Applicable to everyone. Yeah.
What there could potentially be a game theory optimal way to live.
Yeah.
And that fascinates me because an AI will find it if we allow them to get that powerful.
Well, the theory of maybe, yeah. The Jordan Peterson theory.
What's his theory? I kind of tuned him out a little bit.
Yeah, I know he's gotten a little big and political in some aspects. Is that the human beings have created the optimal way of how we ought to live through stories that are passed down, because the stories that people tell to each other that are around long enough to be remembered served a functional purpose for how you ought to live.
Oh, absolutely.
So they're aggregated in all the religious texts.
Right.
The Bible's a big one. There's Mesopotamian religions and stories. Then the
even classic literature.
Yeah, the
adages.
thinking is people
like,
remember what is functional. You
Yeah.
usually dispense with stuff that doesn't work for me and you
yeah.
today or across time. You know.
So here's the
so
extent.
that's the so then we get back to
Yeah.
religion being a pretty good guide. If it's not viewed dogmatically, I think that's the big difference. If you view religion dogmatically and like, I can't eat pork because it says don't eat pork.
Yeah.
And it's not about the pork. It's about something else, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And you could look at it a little more abstractly and find more of the commonalities across than you know, that's more the Jordan, that's his whole, he has a whole YouTube series called Maps of Meaning. It's a course that he does. It's a college lecture or a series of lectures, but that's kind of the theory laid out there.
Well, here's how I view it. That religion, that theory is a very good chess player. I mean, very good. Would probably beat anyone in their college league, high school
That
league.
framework is a pretty good chess.
Like, as in, like, if we're talking about playing game theory optimal chess, that's a very good chess player. But it's not a game. It's not an optimal chess. Like, he'll still make mistakes. You don't win every game. The best football team in the NFL loses games.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? They're still the best team.
Yeah.
Right? So the best chess player, if, say, Christianity is maybe the best chess player, Buddhism is the best chess player we have right now.
Buddhism's a great chess
It might
player.
just be the best chess player we have right now. It's still, I won't put a percent at it, but say I did throw a percent at it, maybe it's like 50 to 70% the way to being 100% like able to compete.
What if they're not chess players? What if they're just chess strategies and you integrate the strategies from different?
And then it gets better.
Then it gets better.
Right? Well, just
We're
like
solving the meaning
just like
of
he
life
said, right
now, bro.
You just said drop the stories that don't work, keep the ones that do. Eventually, you can potentially get to like 90%.
Yeah. The other
that's assuming they're all instilled very well into someone that can conscientiously interpret them.
right.
Which that's where you really get into the meat of what is psychology. But in theory, you could create game theory optimal community guidelines that humanity could share.
Yeah.
And that's why I love AI.
Well, you love AI. Yeah. I think it's kind of cool to think of like the material universe is always in motion.
Right.
It's like a process. It's going somewhere. It's never done, you know? But it's progressing, hopefully.
Butterfly effect.
Butterfly effect, bro. Yeah.
There are ways it's real. In certain areas it's real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say that it's going somewhere. Oh, the point in the documentary that I liked too was they talked about neural connections in the brain. How many are there? How many could there be? And it's insane. I think there's like trillions. There's like more neural connections that can happen in the human brain than almost as many stars as are in our galaxy, or some number, some crazy absurd number. But it's not infinite.
Yeah.
So it's cool to me to think that there's a lot of hope for like human, like our cognitive abilities to expand and we're us to think about things differently, and in a higher way, hopefully, and keep going. But we'll never know it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
we'll never be
we're not
God.
there yet.
We'll never be God.
Yeah.
Never. So like that to me, it's like a grounding.
God is the perfect circle.
God
like
is the perfect
the image
circle.
of God is the perfect circle. It's impossible to achieve that.
Yeah. The lead singer of Tool is in a band called Perfect Circle. And
A Perfect Circle.
A Perfect Circle.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that band?
I'm a big music nerd.
Yeah. I didn't. I think that's a really profound name. When I saw this documentary, I was like, "Holy shit!" That's maybe.
And Tool is a very profound maker of music.
Oh
so
yeah.
it makes-
Oh yeah. Tool. They get into some deep shit.
They get in some very deep shit.
46 and 2.
Yeah.
The Shadow.
So.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought that was a really optimistic. It's very negative, and that the infinity, you know, it doesn't exist here. Everything's gonna probably go away. But there are like good parts about life that you can appreciate.
Yeah, let's settle and agree that there are good parts of life that you can
there's
appreciate.
so many good parts.
Right.
There's so many good
You gotta
parts.
work for them sometimes.
You gotta work for them.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah,
And
you
it
gotta
just-
work.
Yeah,
Um.
it's true.
Yeah. So anyway, my mind was blown. So was that a bad topic?
No, it's just wow. If
Did
you're
we
not
lose a lot of
into
people just
into
now?
science talk and you're struggling, so why don't we try and find something funny? Let's talk about something funny, David.
Let's talk about Calvin.
Why do you want to talk about Calvin?
I think Calvin's funny.
Different
I
topic.
love Calvin too. I didn't mean to be. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Let's not talk about Calvin. It's
Change
your
topic.
episode. It's your episode.
Change topic.
It's your episode.
So you're flirting with the concept of moving to the Big Apple.
Yeah.
It seems
I haven't
like I
told a lot
might
of people
be
about
one
it.
of the only people in Greenville that's at least seen the city. No, it's like,
Well, you have your board that you write stuff on, right?
well, we've just talked about this in public before.
We have. All right. Well, yeah, I'm thinking about moving to New York next year. So I don't know. By the time this comes out, it might be the new year already, 2023. So
Yeah.
and you're up there already. You're in New
If
Jersey.
you come, I'll be there to visit. I'll say hello.
Yeah.
Maybe show you a good restaurant in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird to think about. There's not a lot of I don't know. I love Greenville. I love all this stuff. But, I haven't met a wife, and I still love comedy, and I'm not getting any younger, so I was thinking about doing that, and yeah. Yeah.
Big move.
It is. I mean, dude, honestly, like, we were talking to Cody Hughes about this last night, and I think I said something like, doing stand-up just for its own enjoyment and its own sake in your own small town, like, that's cool. That's noble. It's almost noble to stay, like, obscure and not try and, like, make it or do something bigger or whatever. And he said, no, it's not. And he's like, if it's what you love to do, if it's what you like to do, like, you should do it and do it where people do it. And that's, that's New York. So
it's a rationalization. Like, if you're, like, already in the small town.
To me, it kind of is a rationalization out of fear sometimes.
Well, there's definitely some people out there that are perfectly fine with that. Like,
yeah,
it's all about, I mean, if you're already in that small town and the things you enjoy and the life you have is such that you feel fulfilled with that current arrangement, and you actually would, like, be like, no, I actually get, like, a very good amount of fulfillment out of what I'm doing right now. I don't see a need to gamble.
Yeah.
I could see that being appealing. It's not really how I've ever felt about anything I've done, but, like,
yeah,
I'm kind of restless. I'm, like,
you always
chasing.
Want to push to the next thing.
Yeah.
Push to the next level of that.
I mean,
thing,
I like where I'm at, like, mentally, but, like, it's still, like, I still acknowledge that
I
need to keep grinding. I need to do good in school.
Well, it's kind of how humans are. Like we talked about, it's a process. Nobody's ever arrived at anything.
Yeah.
So it's just art. Can you, live with yourself where you're at? Are you happy? Is that, and there's other things too. Like, I'd love to, like, get married, have kids and stuff. And I'm not, like, saying no to that or anything, but it's like it's a weird kind of,
like, on one hand, yes, no one's ever arrived at their destination, but I just look, I mean, I feel like I just see so many people that live. Yeah, I mean, you definitely heard the quote, like, quiet lives of desperation or whatever.
Yeah, it's a Joe Rogan one.
Is that a Rogan quote?
It's not Rogan didn't say it, but he's referenced it.
Okay. Well, in any case, like, it just
most
feels
men,
really true.
Is it most men
lead quiet lives of desperation?
Lead lives of quiet desperation.
That scares me.
Yeah.
Because I have this weird fear that someday I'm going to realize that I'm that man.
Yeah.
So I'm doing everything I can to avoid being that man in my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
It might be the only thing I'm, like, deeply afraid of. Yeah. Is becoming that man.
Yeah. I think, I kind of thought about it, and why New York I want to do it is, I thought about, like, I'm afraid of two things. I'm afraid of, getting older and not settling down and, and just having it be a waste, like doing comedy and, like, doing something really rash, and, like, maybe that's stupid, maybe that's irresponsible. I'm afraid of, like, feeling like that was bad. But I think I'm more afraid of settling down and doing something here, and then looking back in 10 years and being like, dude, I could have gone. Yeah. I'm more afraid of regretting.
I would say I'm in that boat. I'm more afraid of not doing rash things that don't have the potential to hurt me. Like, if I'm more than 90% sure I'm going to survive something, I should do it. Right? Like this
Yeah.
is where, like, for example, like my mother and I have butt heads on the concept of like, I like going to concerts where there's mosh pits and a little bit of violence and you lose yourself to
Yeah.
the fever of it.
Yeah.
You know, some people think that's very unsafe.
Yeah.
It is. I've had some incidents.
Yeah. Where you get in the mosh pit and you get, yeah.
I had a heat stroke in one and had to get pulled out. I got stabbed in
Dang.
another.
Is that Nashville?
One was in Nashville, one was in Brooklyn. Yeah.
Nice.
But it's like,
What's the biggest risk you've ever taken?
man, there's so many answers because like it's like the different metrics of what big is. Because like,
To you.
that's a great question.
Yeah.
I think it's not the most exciting answer, but I'd say the biggest risk is going to college.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I don't think enough people have an admiration for how much of a risk it deserves to be seen as.
Yeah.
Because how can you not define it as a risk when so many people have taken damage from that choice?
Yeah.
So many people have accrued debt that is difficult to pay off while maintaining a standard of living, and have obtained degrees that they actually have not found any employment via directly.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so nicely wording these things.
Yeah.
Trying to be very, very kind.
Yeah.
But like it was a risk for me to say, you know, I like what my teacher inspired me to think about math. I've liked building robots in my garage and being a mad scientist. I think I'm going to go to school to be an engineer and accrue the financial responsibility in the hopes that at the end I don't absolutely hate it.
Right.
Because it's a risk.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a huge
And
risk
I'm almost done and it has paid off.
because you love it still.
Because I conditionally love it. As in, there's this chance as an engineer you can still turn into that guy I said I'm deeply afraid of becoming.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. I would be very dumb if I thought it was impossible.
For sure. I think about that a lot because, you know, in healthcare, like I talk to doctors and surgeons as the customer.
Yeah.
And I always wonder about that. Like you commit so much of your life on one basic path. I mean, you could change specialties or what you want to do, but if you're going to be a doctor,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be in school for so long. And what if you decide halfway through that you don't want to be a doctor anymore? I mean, it's a huge risk for undergrad picking something. Like I always had an issue.
And
I had that fear too. Like I wanted to keep it broad enough to where I could still do something because I didn't know for sure. And I don't know if anybody knows at 18 what they want to do. You know,
I think it's like some people do, but some people do and are wrong about it. And then some people are maybe right about they want to do, but have taken the wrong route.
yeah. If I could like give advice to some, and I don't like, this is what I would tell myself. And I kind of did it on accident, but it would be like, find something that you like enough to make a good living and then continue to search outside of that to find like something you really love and do it on the side.
Yeah.
Because I kind of think if you go in and you say, I want to be a famous movie director and you go to film school, no offense to anybody who's done that, but like the odds of that only working out in a way that, you know, you can do it on your terms even is like kind of low.
Yeah, that's
and
a good example,
money,
actually.
You know, so like you may be better off finding like an office job or something that you kind of like, or maybe marketing or something, and save money and then do what you really love on the side. And I didn't have anything on the side for a long time until this, and it was pretty miserable because it worked out, and I had what I thought I wanted, and it didn't work out. So like, yeah.
Well, maybe this
Finding
is the
your
same for
hobby.
you, but all my idols dropped out.
Really?
Well, if I think about people that I kind of idolize,
It's
like
cool to be able to drop
comedians,
out, dude.
musicians, and like just high-minded thinkers, visionaries in the technology
Yeah.
world. And the only one of those three is the technology guys who have gone to college, and like half of them actually didn't drop out, right? So it's like
half of them actually didn't drop out. Yeah, it's practical to stay in school. I actually like think it's pretty cool for the geniuses that did drop out, because to me, like if I think about that decision, they might have been so far ahead in their thinking that they're like, I know that this is not helping me, and I know that I could do something greater without this. So I'm just gonna, and I'm not afraid to have the balls to do it and take the risk. Like, there's something really commendable about saying F it. Because, dude, I was so afraid to not, follow the cookie cutter path of, like, getting good grades and shit.
And I'm afraid to keep following the cookie cutter path. So that's very interesting.
Well, no, I think it's great that you follow the cookie cutter. 99% of people should follow the cookie cutter path.
Well, I definitely need to build up some money before I do anything
Save
stupid.
some money. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I say, like, the New York stuff, like, I've saved a lot, and I've... And I have a remote job now, so I don't even have to quit my job anymore.
Yeah.
So it's now just a matter of like fear and uncertainty.
Yeah. So you in your position versus someone my age who's like, I'm dropping out of school, moving to New York, and becoming a comedian.
Yeah.
That person is gonna have a very rough couple years.
But they'll probably make it. I mean, they could make it in some way because of that desperation or because of like the hard work that they're having to put in and suffer through. I don't know if somebody like me even has that, like it's not that big of a risk for me.
I almost get insecure about how I'm not desperate.
Yeah,
I've been thinking about this a lot recently, actually, because when I've heard a lot of backstories of comedians that I look up to, and even like the people in our community that work really hard at it. And the through line is being so hungry for comedy working out that you are driven to go to literally every mic. Like I listen to, even like, especially it was really powerful, like meeting comedians I looked up to at Skankfest and talking to them about this.
Yeah, what did they say? Give us some examples of specific advice that you got.
So
maybe what they
some
said.
of the favorite people I talked to at Skankfest, I talked to Tommy Pope, I talked to Josh Adam Myers, guys who I really liked, New York Philly scene, Ari Shafir a little bit, Big J Okerson I chatted with a little bit, and like,
yeah, what'd they say?
And just from hearing, advice was always keep going, do it, keep going. But like the thing that like brought a little insecurity to the foreground was everyone that's like making it in that world was at my age or at where I was in like my path, desperate. And I mean like broke, $20 to their name, but still going out to every mic they could.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm saying I get insecure is I don't go out as much because I'm not as desperate, because like I have other things that I derive enjoyment from that I'm balancing with comedy.
Yeah.
I love going to the gym. I love just reading a book at night sometimes. I love cooking a nice meal.
Yeah, you're too normal to be.
That's the thing. Like I derive enjoyment from other things, and then I look at how hard people in this community work, and I'm like, well, I never make it potentially because I'm not feral. Like I'm looking for words to describe it, and I got like a weird insecurity about that. But I don't know, maybe it just takes me longer because I don't have the same.
So they said
drive.
They were desperate when they were 22.
I mean, the debt, like just like nothing else in their life worked out. These are not people that got an engineering degree a lot of the time. The only one I know who did was like Fahim Anwar, who I do look up to a lot. He's phenomenal. But like they're like vacuum salesmen. You know, you ever heard any of them tell stories about their shitty jobs that they've, mopping the floor? Like,
Mark Norman was a janitor in New York.
Mark Norman was a janitor. Shane Gillis worked at an ice cream factory.
Yeah.
Like,
there's something I feel
that
like
desperation
to be, to be like staring, like no safety net. You're staring at like a potentially really shitty life, and you're like, fuck it, I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Like, to be able to stare and just not blink at that.
I like admire that.
Crazy.
That like determination. I do admire that. I like want to try and drive as much of that out of me as I can while still setting myself to be in a position of relative comfort, like you are, where you have a job that you work in the day and it's flexible and you're not in the red, but like, you're still doing this a lot. I don't want to lose that feeling, because if I lose that feeling because I'm too comfortable, then I become the man.
Well, I think don't become the man, dude. I think if you're honest with yourself, look, the fact that you've even started stand-up is awesome. And dude, you're still in college. Like, I think about Jordan, who's in college too.
Yeah.
And he's got to play basketball this season.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine. Like, you're freaking finishing your degree. Just don't quit.
Yeah.
You know? And then your fuel's going to come when you're sitting in your cubicle and you're doing your engineering job and you're like, fuck, I can't wait to get out of here. And
Well,
go
it
to
has
that,
come
and
because
go to that mic.
because I've been doing that.
You've actually experienced that where you feel
Well,
like,
I do work. I'm an intern right now.
yeah. So you, but like, okay, but like picture like 10 years of doing it and, you know,
Yeah.
and then what you continue to invest in is comedy.
Well, because there's like, it's all about what I do with the degree after I graduate. Because if I end up working a job I don't like, but I'm in a place where I can do a lot of comedy, maybe I will go feral. But what if I'm
Yeah.
on a team I really like and I'm like, yo, this engineering job is so sick. I just want to put all my energy in my job.
Then you can make that choice and stop. That'd be fine.
Oh, but what if I find myself somewhere in the middle?
Yeah.
Oh, how scary! How scary would that be? It's like, oh, I kind of like the job, and they're
Yeah.
asking me to do a
Dude,
lot of
that's
hours, but I
actually-
kind
fear
of.
that too. 'Cause
That's
at
what I'm
some
really
point,
afraid
you
of.
kind of got to burn the boats and be like, fuck it, I'm doing just comedy.
Or I'm saying just doing it, but it's
Like,
like
you don't want to like have you know, both feet on and then like just and then you.
I like going.
fall in.
Yeah, I like.
It's like there's a breaking point.
I don't like feeling like I'm half-assing something.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah.
Yeah. Which sucks because comedy doesn't pay shit, but
Well, tomorrow
bro.
I get paid for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know it sounds kind of douchey. It's just like, it means a lot to me on a personal note. that,
Comedy?
like- well, it just means a lot that like I can spend all this time at open mics and then like just one time someone's like, I'm willing to pay you for this service.
Yeah. 100%, dude.
It just means, you know, it's just
Yeah,
a
dude.
little,
You should be proud
if
of
there's
that,
ever
for
a
sure.
reason that I'm going to continue, it's that I went on this journey with all of my great friends here in the open mic scene in South Carolina. And I got to this point where someone's willing to pay me and I leave literally exactly as that happens. I'm like, I can do that.
Yeah.
Oh man, if I bomb tomorrow, this is
if
going to
you
age so
bomb,
poorly.
You better not bomb tomorrow.
Dude, I'm going to do everything in my power to not bomb tomorrow. But if I do, I don't need to deal with the consequences
If
because
you
I'm not going to
bomb,
see
it'll
them
be
here again.
funnier. Bombing's so funny.
Oh, I
I
know.
hope we all bomb tomorrow. I hope it's just
well,
awkward.
if it's just me, I would feel a lot worse about it.
Yeah. You never
I will.
know. But I don't know. Back to the philosophy of stand-up and what Jay Okerson and all those guys were saying about they were desperate.
The specific words of advice, are funny as hell. But like,
What? Give us a specific one.
oh, well, Josh Adam Myers told me that himbos don't wash their hands after they pee.
Himbos? What is a himbo?
Oh, a himbo is like a bimbo.
But a man?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was like, for me during Skankfest, he was like Yoda on Luke's back.
okay.
I would keep running into Josh
Himbos
Adam
don't wash
Myers,
their hands. Wow.
who is like the host of the Himbos podcast.
Yeah.
And he's like, I would just keep running into him. He would just keep giving me words of infinite wisdom.
I love it.
And by infinite wisdom, I mean running into him in the bathroom and saying, himbos don't wash their hands, pointing at me and then just walking out of the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much. No, that was,
I don't know. It feels
that was
like
the best.
when you can you think of like times when you've done well on stage and it's like I feel like the times I've done well have been normally when I'm like in a bad place or like desperate. Or not desperate, but just so like don't give a fuck that I'm just detached and just like doing it without any sort of like. So like in this when you're on stage, it's
Yeah.
kind of like you don't have the money to fall back on. You don't have the job to fall back on. You don't have the comfort of anything. You're just like up there and you let go of it and then you get laughs. It's so weird.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about what the feeling of being on stage is after you've done it for a little bit, it doesn't even feel like you're tethered to reality. I feel like I'm like floating.
On stage?
Yeah. I don't,
Or just
I've-
in life
no,
after you've done it a while?
No, like I mean, because like on stage, like now that I've done it enough times that I'm not ridden by anxiety before I go up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am a little bit because I'm like, make sure you know this line, make sure you don't skip this punchline, like read through everything again, make sure it's memorized.
Yeah.
Up to the moment I get on, it's like that. But the second I start walking to the stage, especially if they let me pick my music at the Comedy Zone, because boy do I love picking my music.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just feels like I don't even walk up the stairs. I just kind of like levitate up.
Yeah.
Because I just
yeah,
get,
it does feel like that.
it's like you get like a mainline serotonin injection where it just makes you feel a
Yeah.
little lighter. And then,
Yeah.
so you get like a baseline high serotonin level, and then your first punchline hits or your first piece of crowd work hits, and then you get like the dopamine
Yeah.
right into your veins, and then
Yeah.
it's not even,
But you
I feel
still
like
have fear.
I'm not even cognitive when I'm up there a lot of time. It feels like instinct.
I agree. 100%.
I just got to work on the instincts. It's like a muscle memory.
Yeah, I completely. It seems weightless.
And
Jerry
then-
Seinfeld made that point. It seems
Yeah.
like curious. It's yeah. It's
But
almost. It's almost out of body.
Well,
it's
I think everyone does it
body.
differently. I get into like a trance. When I'm up there, I'm in like a trance, which you've observed because you're like, were you a theater kid? And I was like, I've never been on stage before. Like,
Yeah, you have great. You're very charismatic on stage. You're
Yeah.
very like It seems like, and the other thing you said about the music, when you go on stage, you dance a lot, and if you
Yeah.
can dance comfortably in front of people, it's like
Yeah.
you're definitely.
Well, I'm just like
vibing,
a
bro.
semi-autistic music nerd, but like it's just because I just love my music so much. But like,
Oh, I suck at dancing. Still love to do it though. You know.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like,
for sure.
It's just yeah.
well, why would you not lose yourself in the moment? You showed up to lose yourself in the moment with your material to connect with that audience.
Yeah.
Why would you not start by losing yourself in the moment with a little bit of dance?
For
I
sure.
mean,
For sure.
it's all about losing yourself and just becoming.
Lose yourself in the music the moment you want it. You really
Yeah.
never let it go.
I've never gone on stage to that, but now I'm considering it.
Yeah.
No, it is a
But
magical
yeah, when
thing.
it goes well, you're kind of in that desperate state, I guess is what I think. Because if you're in that state,
I think
you're
I see what you mean.
detached. You know what I mean? You're not. So you don't have to be literally desperate outside of it. You like to be committed to being good in the moment. Like,
The way I'm interpreting what you're saying is when you do good, it's a kind of feeling that you can't get really outside of opiate abuse. So it's like, man, I'm never gonna, I'm never gonna find that feeling for that long, that intensely, at a desk, is like a fear that's is that what you're saying?
kind of. Yeah. I mean, in a way, that's true. I think, but also, I was just saying, like, you don't have to be. Okay, like, when he said he was desperate at 22, they're all desperate at 22.
Yeah.
And they don't have any sort of fallback plan, and that motivates them to get on stage and do well. I'm saying you're kind of in a state of desperation on stage, no matter what your circumstances are
Right.
outside of it. So, like, don't feel like you have to be like starving artist. Like, you can easily do what you're doing, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I'd prefer
You know what
to
I
not
mean?
be a
Like,
starving artist if I could.
You're kind of detached. If you go on stage,
What I mean by
You're
the drive,
saying-
I mean more like literally quantity.
the drive to go to every mic and actually the work ethic aspect.
Yeah, that's way more what
Okay.
I'm referring to.
Yeah, sure.
I'm referring to the fact
Yeah,
that they
that's-
would go to as many as they humanly could,
Yeah.
barring needing to sleep a little and eat food.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
For sure. But all the mics are at night, too. Keep that in mind.
No, it's still possible. I mean, I have made it out. It's just like,
yeah.
I think I have nights where I'm like, dude, I really just don't want to go out. I really just, man, I could just text no one and go to the gym and go eat food and just snuggle up in bed and try not to think about the fact that I didn't go out tonight.
Yeah. Do you feel guilty when you do that?
Not
Or do
really.
you mostly decide to go anyway?
Well, okay, there's like three kinds of nights. There's night I go to a mic, never feel guilty. Night that I don't go to a mic but do something that I enjoy that isn't a mic, 90% not guilty.
Okay. So you're
Go
10%
don't go to a mic, don't do anything I enjoy, be a slob and wallow, 100% guilty, right?
Okay.
Those are
So
rare.
you're between 10% and 100% guilt on not going to a mic.
No, I like some nights I don't go to a mic, I feel almost no guilt.
Right, I know.
Because
So
I'm
the 10%.
substituting with other things that I
Yeah.
derive legitimate enjoyment from. Some nights, if I do neither mic or thing that I enjoy, that's where I'm like, this is what it's like to feel desperate.
Yeah.
This is what it would be like to feel like being the man.
Yeah.
And so I should go to a mic.
Yeah. For sure.
Because that happens.
It happens. I gotta go soon.
Okay. So let me
You
pose
gotta
you a
go
question
soon.
then.
Oh, you're gonna ask a question?
What is your New Year's resolution?
Are you anticipating this coming out in
It's definitely...
January?
There's no situation where this comes out and that's not an appropriate question.
Yeah, it's the season. I don't have one yet. Is find a wife a good one?
In your
You can't really
situation, it's not a
control
bad
that.
one.
You can't really control that.
Well,
'cause I
you
want to
could
go to New York.
You could
but I'm
rephrase
also
it.
Not.
Here you go.
Help me rephrase this.
So instead of find wife,
Find way.
Let's say it's
You're not supposed to look for it. Travis said don't look for it.
I'm going to allow love to enter my life.
I'm going to allow love in.
Potentially by force.
By force. No. That's rapey. That's not good.
I didn't mean that. I did not mean
I
that.
just said that. Well,
not with that attitude.
I don't know.
I meant that what I mean by force is you might have to challenge yourself to find love.
Yeah.
And that could turn into my New Year's resolution too.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, what is your New Year's resolution?
Well, typically I don't make one, but like a really good baseline, because like I don't have a very specific goal. Like last year, I think it was like get abs, which was pretty good because I did cut a lot of weight and put on a lot of muscle since then. So I'd say I feel pretty good about my progress on that one. But this year, I think it should just be something more baseline, like live closer to your values, something like really basic.
Live closer to your moral code.
Yeah, just like analyze situations more deeply before doing something that you just do to be like to feed your ego, or just to be like, oh man, I would seem like such a James Bond if I did this right now. Like, no, it's not usually worth it.
Dude, you're so mature for your age.
Yeah, it sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I imagine that's actually attractive though to girls. I think that
you want to bet on that.
I do.
Well, it might be.
I think you'd be a great catch for a girl, Rory.
That's what my mother says.
Just kidding.
Well, no, you might be right about that. I might be on the all-time low leaderboard for being able to perceive like the potential for a connection. I'm working on getting better at reading that. I don't know how I can work that muscle, but
I'm bad at
yeah.
It's
I was just like,
but I always hear that girls who are looking for somebody to date, they often date a few years older, because guys their own age, especially in their early 20s, they're still figuring themselves out, and they want a guy that's like a little bit more like.
Are you familiar with the term confirmation bias?
I was very careful about how I was trying to word that.
No, I do get what you're saying.
Want girls. I'm older. I want girls to like want to date. Yeah, for sure.
No, it's not an invalid point. I was just making a joke.
Okay.
I was just making a joke.
Valid.
I know. I was just making a joke. You're good, dude. You can get
I knew how that could come across.
You're a catch too. Just maybe your resolution to be to quit vaping. It's a pretty good one.
Damn it. I just like vaping so much.
I believe that. I believe your brain would inspire you to say that as a response.
You think I got nicotine brain?
Well, I don't know. You vape on stage.
For a joke.
Yeah.
And when jokes bomb, I'll just pull out the vape.
Right, because then you need a hit of...
Yeah, positive.
Yeah.
Chappelle smokes on stage.
Right. You're not Chappelle.
I know. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Quit.
Not about New Year's. So pick quit vaping or allow love to enter your life. That's fair. We can all get better at that.
Thank you for using that expression. Fucking hate that. That's fair.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm trying to use that word less. That phrase.
Because kids your age use it.
There's a stigma against it that Alexis told me about this, because it's come to my attention that many women are very good at reading like in between the lines in words and phrases, and guys just shoot out words like a machine gun. I am one of them. And so apparently when you say that's fair, it's a signal that you're no longer interested in the topic.
Yes.
And that is kind of surprising to me because I have said it and not meant that to be the connotation at all thousands of times at this point. It's just like a filler word for me.
Yeah, it's like you're acknowledging,
but then
I understand.
Well, because like, I'm like this neutral, I'm like this unbiased being. I'm like, that is a fair perspective.
Yeah.
But when
you're on the
it's
fence,
like, that's fair, is like, that means that person would prefer to not be around you at current moment, right? So then it's like, well, I guess I should, if that's the way people interpret it, I should just find a new filler word.
Yeah. That's fair.
Maybe I should say hot damn. Like
hot damn.
Hot
diggity,
Yeah, if you ever need to find cute filler phrases, just ask the South. They've got some really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Love the South. Yep.
And soon I will be gone.
Soon you'll be gone.
Back up to the Great White North.
Yeah, dude. Well,
I meant snow.
great. Yeah. Well, dude, anything you want to shout out? We got the show tomorrow, but it's not going to be out.
We got the show that's a month and a half before this airs. I want to shout out everyone in Greenville who's been an awesome human.
Yeah,
because
dude. Yeah.
There's a non-zero chance I never see some of you again, regretfully, of course. Any of you come to New York, we'll grab a slice of pizza for sure. But I want to shout out just the general area.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is it? How cool is it that you guys have built a community here that I can just come from out of town and say, I'd like to start comedy. And I make some of the dopest friends I've ever made just like that in this struggle cauldron that we call open micing.
Shit, yeah.
Right? So that's a shout out. So anyone who's listening to this that's been a part of that community, that has built it, will continue to build it.
Aw, Rory.
You are turning the needle.
Yeah.
You're turning the needle.
Making the world
You're making the world better
place.
just a little bit by bit, adding some laughs to the world.
Yeah,
if you ever
dude.
feel down on yourself, remember that you were a part of that.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Well said. Looking sentimental in comedy.
Yeah.
I'm hopelessly dramatic and stuff, and I always say stuff like that. I love it too. That's sincere.
Nah, sometimes you gotta. It's reminding people that they've done nice things for themselves and others is like an underrated thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta let people know. Sometimes you gotta send that text that's like, hey, like, haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing great. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So to the Greenville community, this is my text message.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if I'll maybe come back to visit, who knows? The weather's nice.
Yeah, you got to come back.
I can at least come back to visit. If someone wants to have me on a show, I'd consider flying.
For sure. And it's a connected it's a connected world. We'll be it's always got social media. You always got reels. You always got memes.
If this podcast migrates to New York, who knows?
Oh yeah, if I go, I'm not stopping this thing.
No, I mean like the world will stay connected. I'll be around. So.
Yeah. Start your own podcast up there, man. Let us know what you're up to.
I could probably have a pretty killer podcast, but I would need to
Yeah.
be in a situation where I could put all of my energy into it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wouldn't half-ass it.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, you can do whatever you want, man.
Yeah, give it like 5-6
Future,
years.
the world's your oyster, dude.
The world's your oyster.
Yeah.
The
Well,
world-
dude, I shout out to you though, man. I don't want to get too sappy, but awesome. You're awesome, dude. You're funny as hell. Like, honestly, very like very funny, very talented. So like, I know you for the work ethic and stuff, and like other stuff you want to do. You might not do it forever. That's cool, but like, it's great. So yeah, man.
Hey, Rory, if you're watching this in the future, dude, hit a mic, dude.
Hit a mic.
Hit a mic.
Don't kill yourself. Hit a mic.
I'm not worried about that one, but hit a mic.
Yeah.
And if you end up becoming the man, dude, hit a mic. Hit a mic.
Yeah. And
This is a time capsule. I'm
for
gonna
sure,
open
this
it
is
when
a time capsule.
I'm gonna open it when
These
my
are
hairline's
fun.
receding.
It's fun to
Yeah.
document. Yeah. When you got this going on.
Oh,
Yeah. Scary, bro.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna be subscribing to Keeps when I turn 27.
Keeps,
Yeah.
Hims, they're all very good.
Keeps.
BetterHelp. This
Yeah.
is what keeps you. Yeah. But cool, man. Well, dude. Yeah. Follow Rory at all the links below. I don't even want to. You don't have to shout those out. They'll be on there. Like, do you put most of your stuff on Instagram?
I don't have a comedy page yet because,
Yeah, you don't
like
need
I
one.
said, give it like 6 years when I'm graduated, and I'm like,
Yeah.
is this something I'm gonna do forever?
But if you want to
Rory,
keep
if you're
tabs
listening
on
to
it,
this, do it forever.
Follow your Instagram. Follow your Twitter. Like just your normal stuff.
Yeah,
That's where it'll. Yeah.
yeah. I'm on Instagram.
Shit. Yeah.
Hit me up.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you so much. You're
All right.
awesome. Have a great evening, by the way.
All right. See you guys.